Right. Welcome everyone to whoever is watching. Welcome to our first community event for Wellbeing Acers, our VS community for well-being. To anchor and drive engagement in this community, we have three very dynamic individuals who are also our speakers for today. Ruchi Bhatia, HR consultant, public speaker, mental health advocate, and founder of HR Gurukul. Uzma Shaikh, emotional fitness and transformation coach, TEDx speaker, and founder of Educate to Elevate, and Disha Pandey, yoga ceremony, communication specialist, and a care driven marketer. So, if you want to hear more from them, sign up on our platform, join our community, and get invited to more such events. We will be plugging the link to join the community on your comment boxes on whichever platform you're joining from. So, today we have an extremely interesting topic at hand, which is feeling selfish about self care. And while this topic seems simple at the outset, there are various nuances hidden behind it. We've all heard quotes like, to give the best to others, you must first give the best to yourself, and you can't pour from an empty cup. But how easy is it to apply these principles to real life situations, especially as millennials who are burdened by expectations from their children, parents, colleagues, or friends? One may face this dilemma in a day to day situation, like avoiding a dinner plan to stay in and read a book, or asking your partner to step in for a family responsibility because you need a break. Or they can be more critical situations like moving cities for your career or navigating a divorce. Those are also forms of self care. So, to answer these very complex questions, we have Uzma bringing in the emotional aspect, Ruchi talking about mental health and work life integration, and Disha bringing in the aspect of holistic well being and physical wellness. So, without further ado, let's jump straight to it. Uzma, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Shivanjani. And I'm so happy to see all the lovely audience. I was just reading the comments that the moment we went live, there were so many hi, hellos there. And I would really want all of the audience who are watching us live and all the platforms, please be active because I want to interact with you people. And today's topic, as Shivanjani said, is so much talked about, self love, self care. And nowadays you see it so much on social media. Hi, Jyoti. So, so it is very much out there. And it really seems that, everybody is getting very much aware about self care and self love. Yet, when it comes to applying it, we get guilty. Now, why does that happen? And especially as the tagline says, the millennials dilemma. Now, this happens because this generation of millennials, I am a millennial, so I know that. Um, Gen Zs, I feel, are very lucky and they still are more aware and, out there about their mental health and setting up their boundaries. But when it comes to us, since we have grown up listening to such thoughts and such words around us, like, you're not working hard enough, you have to work harder to get a better life, you have to, burn the midnight oil, parents are always right, family comes first, you have to keep, sacrifice is considered so nice. And then selfless love is something that we must always show. These have become so strongly impregnated in our personality that even when we are aware, these things somehow are becoming our toxic limiting beliefs. We are not able to let it go. And when it comes to prioritizing us, taking care of ourselves, loving ourselves, these limiting beliefs start cropping up in our brain, in our subconscious mind, and then they make us feel that we are doing something wrong. Like, I mean, I can give my example here that uh, when I was supposed to, I have been born and brought up in Delhi. And I was supposed to have my career there only. Everything was planned. But then I lost my father, and my mother took this decision to come to a smaller city like Lucknow. Now, there, at that moment of time, I felt that sacrificing is the correct thing that I should do. Sacrificing my career is the correct thing that I should do because being there for the family is the first and the foremost thing. Now, I don't regret that decision at all, because I mean, it eventually, over the period of 10 years, it worked for me. But initially, even if I did it for the love of my family or the love of my mother, for her happiness, it was something which was like a battle which was going inside me. I was not happy. And since I was not happy, I could not make anybody in my family happy. It was like, there were constant irritation filled moments when the family wanted to do something good together. I would say, I want to stay home. You guys want to go, you can go. So that made me feel that even if, we do something for others, but when we are not happy from inside, we do not love ourselves, we do not replenish ourselves, our emotions, nothing can, nothing positive can come out of it. So millennials go through all these things, and that is why it's very important for especially the millennials to come out of this dilemma and understand that self love or self care is not at all selfish. Because as Shivanjani said, how can you give something to somebody when your own cup is empty? It's a very basic example, when a woman conceives a baby in her womb, she has to eat double amount of food, she has to take more nutritions, she has to, um, take care of herself. Why? Because if she does not get that nourishment to her body, the child would not be healthy. In the same way, if we see the trees, when they do not get the fertilizers, the water, the proper kind of sunlight, the trees will not be able to bear those healthy fruits that we need to get or eat. So, it's very important for us to love ourselves and give ourselves that care. Now that's one thing we have somehow now, acknowledged this fact that yes, I mean, it is important. But I want to ask this very active, audience that we have here, can you tell me in the comment section, what is your definition of self love? We have so many people like Nisha, Neha, Mamta, Pooja, Antina, so many people. Can somebody share that what is their definition of self love? I'm seeing somebody commenting, or even Shivanjani can tell me, the host, what's your definition of self-love? Spending times, spending time
So
on
we
things I
have
love.
Yes, so
Yeah.
we have a comment from Sadia, which says spending time on things I love. I think
Hmm.
for me, it's personally anything that keeps me sane, anything that restores balance. It doesn't have
Hmm.
to be extravagant, but something that just helps me unwind every day. That is something I would term self love.
All right. Caring about self, Jyoti has said, giving quality time and attention to yourself, being able to do what we love the most by Mamta. Wonderful definitions, but I feel these are very generic definitions. It's mostly taking care of themselves and pampering themselves. Fitness, mental, physical, caring for loved ones, we are responsible for. Okay. Now, cool. Shivani also gave a very nice answer. Can you tell me your frequency of doing all these things? How often do you do this? Like Sadia, you said you spend time on the things you love. What is your frequency? Do you do it on a daily basis? Do you do it once a week, once a month? What is it? Doing yoga and meditation, Harsha said. Wonderful. Tell me, Shivanji, you said that unwinding yourself, how often do you do that?
So ideally, I would like to take some time out every day, but that's not usually the case. So I'd say about 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay. One person has honestly said, not nearly enough. So, my reason of asking you, audience, this question was A, first of all, understanding what actually self-care means to us is very important, because sometimes most of the people look at it at the superficial level. We think maybe going for a nice pampering session or a spa, or maybe getting some manicure pedicure or a massage done, maybe that's what can be the best way to unwind yourself or have that self-care. But that is not enough, because self care is not only the self care of the body, it means nourishing your body, mind, and soul. And here I am to actually talk about the self love or the self care at the level of mind or the emotions. And of course, when you ask yourself honestly that how many times do you do it, it's not on a regular basis, especially when it comes to the self care for your mind. We don't do it so regularly, which is so important. So, understand self love is self care plus self awareness. These are very two important aspects. We are taking care of the self care part once in a blue moon or maybe sometimes. But what about the self awareness part? This is something we kind of lack, or maybe we do not pay that much heed to it. So, as an emotional fitness coach, I would like to give you some quick tips that you must follow on a daily basis that will help you for the self love of your mind. Now, the first and the foremost thing, as I said, is awareness. No matter how much busy your day is, I would request every one of you to take out those 10 or 15 minutes of your day where you just question yourself a few things. Ask yourself, what is the need that you have right now? What is that your body or your mind wants? What is right now your emotions? What are your feelings? Because it is very I was reading a book, in that it was written that, you know rather than being a reactor to your emotion, when you are an observer, you are truly able to regulate and handle your emotions properly. So, those 15 minutes should be your time when you are an observer to your feelings and emotions. Those 15 minutes are going to be, trust me, and you do it every day. If not 15, 10 minutes, you take time for your self awareness. That self care is going to truly transform you if done consistently. And one very good thing I have started practicing and I wanted to share as a quick tip was that choose one word as the word of the week, any positive word, courage or fun or love, and make that week a complete vibe. Like if this week's word for my week is love or self care or maybe confidence, I'm going to have that as my mantra for the week. So when you consciously do that, it is going to, make you have that energy, make you have that positive emotion throughout the week, because you set an intention for that week. And we'll do this in the group also, all the beautiful ladies who are there in this community. Every week we'll discuss this, and we are going to have, week word of the week, and we'll set the intention and we'll all enjoy and, share our experiences, that how it is helping us in our self love for the mind. And third very important critical thing that I would like to say is, mind your words, the words which you speak to others and the words that you speak to yourself. This inner critique, which I call it, I've made this my own word, the sabotager, the one who sabotages us. It's us only and our mind. So when you start working on the kind of things you say to yourself, you become softer and more loving when you speak to yourself. I'll tell you one thing. um, Today itself I observed this, and this happened just, coincidentally, that I was driving, and I could not judge, and I was parking the car next to my gym, and there were these cemented, blocks which you align your car with the parking. And I don't know, I did not judge, and I had, literally taken my car over that, and my, car completely was about to be toppled or something. And I came back, and I felt, I don't know, and I was just sending a voice note to one of my friends, and I said, I mean, this is so pathetic. I call myself a good driver, and look what a, silly mistake I did. And I really used such harsh words for myself. And after sending the voice note, when I listened to it, I felt, what have I done? Why did I say such mean words to myself? Because I wouldn't have said it to somebody else. And then I, felt this is absolutely wrong. And that was done in the flow of emotions and, being so hard on ourselves, we do that. And that makes this becomes a narrative, that's how we are, because we keep doing it again and again. So I would say become more conscious about your words and love yourself. Be more loving when you talk to yourself. That is the true self love at the mind session. And reminds me, I'm almost about to end what I wanted to say, because all other things that I'm going to share will be on the group. We'll not share everything here. If everybody can come on the screen, because I just want to do a quick, very short meditation of self love with all of you and all the people who are watching us live. I would request you all to, just do it with me. And I want all of you to just, for a second, close your eyes and take deep breaths. Just come in the awareness of your breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Become totally aware of your breath. Don't try to change it. Just flow with the breathing in and out. And allow your mind to settle in your breath. And slowly lift your left hand and bring it to your heart center. Keep it on your heart and bring your mind to the awareness of your heart and all the love that is filled in your heart. And mentally repeat to yourself 3 times, I love myself just as I am. I love myself just as I am. I love myself just as I am. Breathe in, breathe out. And one more time, say to yourself, I'm nature's greatest miracle. I am nature's greatest miracle. I am nature's greatest miracle. And when you're filled with this energy of love, smile and let this energy spread throughout your face, your cheeks, your forehead, your entire body, and every pore of your skin. And let this energy of love surround you totally. Yes, you are not perfect, but you are unique and you do things in your unique way. Respect and love this uniqueness and embrace your imperfections and accept yourself fully. Just breathe in, breathe out. Slowly take your left hand and put it on your right shoulder, and take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder. Open your eyes, smile, and give yourself a tight hug and say, I love myself. Say it. Thank you so much. Over to you, Shivanjani.
Thank you so much, Uzma. That was extremely enriching, and I think you brought out some really interesting aspects of self love, which is sometimes that we're very harsh to each other, to ourselves when we talk about ourselves to other people, and that there's a very thin line between wanting to be self sacrificial and also then not being able to take out time for self care. So thank you so much for those points. Now we move on to Ruchi. And Ruchi is an expert on work life balance, or as she prefers to call it, work life integration. So I think she can tell us a little bit more about how we sort of integrate our professional ambitions with what we want from life. And Ruchi, I have a few questions for you. So, if you could start off by telling us how you manage, your work-life balance, and what it means to you.
Thank you, Shubranjani. That's a good question. And as you rightly mentioned that I believe in work-life integration. Let me share a story with you. It was around 2009. I just started my career in HR in 2000, around 2008, and we have a learning leader, Willard Kitchen, and he taught us this concept of work-life integration. His philosophy was that you're not useful to me when you are spending time in traffic. So he gave us all the members in the learning team option to work from home. And he taught us this concept of work life integration, that if you need to be away from work in the morning because you have to attend, say, parents teacher meeting at your kids school, so you can very well do that, but be available for the meetings if they are happening late night with the US time zones or in different time zones, because IBA being a global organization, you have the opportunity to collaborate with colleagues all over the world. And that's how I've been operating ever since 2009, doing away with the mindset of shifting away from 9 to 5 and actually believing in work life integration, which means that taking in the advantage of flexibility and giving in and being available for work as and when desired by the employer. So yes, that's about work life integration that I would like to share about my experience.
Right. Thank you so much, Ruchi. And I think that gives us a very new perspective on how to see these entities, and not see them in silos, but actually find out how we can find the common ground between them. My second question to you is, what are your self-care tips, and what are self-care practices that you apply in life when there are pressing and competing demands at home and at work?
So, Uzma did a wonderful session. Thank you, Uzma, for sharing the concept of self care and especially the self love, the love that we so generously give to others. I think that is something that we should reserve for ourselves first, in terms of using the kind words for ourselves. As far as my tips are concerned, I find balance in through music a lot, as well as through poetry, because music and poetry I'm fond of very much, and I find them, that those are my two go-to, habits that I rely upon to relax myself during the day. And let me ask, if someone is if people in the audience, they are interested in listening to maybe 1 or 2 minutes of music, in terms of what kind of peppy music do I listen to, can I have a yay in the comment section if people are up for listening to some peppy music for 30 seconds or 60 seconds? Okay, so Bhavna, yes, let me play that music for all of you, and let us have some good time. Cause ain't the stars tonight. So watch me bring the fire, set the night light. Shoes on, get up in the morning, cup of milk, let's rock and roll. Kick out, kick the drum, rolling on like a rolling stone. Sing song when I'm walking home, jump up to the top of the brown. Ding dong, call me on my phone, nice tea, and I get my ping pong. This ain't heavy, can't hit the bass, boom, I'm ready. Life's sweet as honey, get this beach chain like money. This go all alone, I'm into that, I'm good to go. I'm down, you know I go. Hey, let's go. Cause I'm in the stars tonight. So we bring the fire, set the night light. Hey, shining through the city with a little funky soul. Light it up like dynamite. Hey, I'm back. So I hope you liked the music that I played, and this is my way to relax. These are some of the activities that I start my day with, some really peppy music. And during the day, whenever I feel that the work is getting too much and I need a little break, I'll just go to some my music playlist and play some music and find respite in that. So back to you, Shivranjani.
Well, what you listen to. I think your playlist is something all of our audience members would be very curious about. The third question that I have for you is actually quite interesting because we keep talking about work life balance and integration, but I don't think all of us know when it's going wrong. So, in order to correct it, I think we need to find, where that tipping balance, where that tipping point is. So, how do you identify signs of burnout? And, when do you know that there's something going wrong and there's something that needs to be fixed?
Right. So one quote that I read in a good book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, that you don't rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems. So your goal is your desired outcome. However, your system is the daily collection of habits that gets you there, right? So in terms of identifying the signs of burnout without sharing, going into glory details of how I fall into that trap, but some of the typical common burnout symptoms would be excessive stress, frequent illnesses, frequent absences from work, irritability, sadness, anger, or it may also include alcohol as well as substance abuse also. So these are some of the common symptoms to watch out for, to identify that yes, work is getting too much, or even demands from home or family members is getting too much. And these are the symptoms that should definitely alert you and warn you in order for you to be able to seek out help. And in today's world, I think since the onset of pandemic, the society collectively as a society, we have become more open to talking about mental health, and people are sharing their challenges and their issues with mental health, and it's completely okay to feel not okay, and to reach out to your friends, family, or even therapists and doctors whenever you realize that something is off the balance and things are not working the way, or you are not as much productive as you would like to be. And I think I have reached out to therapists, I have reached out to doctors without any shame, without any stigma, and I've been quite vocal about taking care of your mental health first. And yes, it is, wellness is all about the balance between body, mind, and soul. But yes, mental health is also very very critical and pertinent to ensure that you are functioning at the optimum level as you would desire yourself to be.
No, I think all great points and all well taken. And to conclude your bit of this session, Ruchi, the last thing I'd like to ask you is, since we're discussing feeling selfish about self care, how do you reclaim your health and well being when you're in the middle of all these expectations? And how do you do that guilt free? Is something that I'd be very curious to hear your perspectives on.
Right. So I'm very lucky. My parents and family members are very supportive. I often take breaks. So I'm fond of traveling also. So every 2 months or so, I will just pack my bags, and I'm a backpacker. I will go off to Himalayas and go off to some destination which I would like to explore, offbeat destination that I like to explore. But to really make sure that you are reclaiming your wellness and helping is by hanging out with places and people where you seen feel where you are where you feel heard, you're seen appreciated, and you are being valued. These are the places where you will feel energized most often. And as Uzma also said, right, by practicing self-care, so it is only you that you can decide that okay, this is how much I can do in a day or in a week or in a month's time. And without feeling guilt, indulging in those self-care activities where you feel energized, taking out time for those activities, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes in a day. And that will help you reclaim your health and well-being, overall well-being. And we have been through so much, I mean, during the pandemic and during the corona times, so much of grief and loss has happened, and there is a cycle of the, you know theoretically speaking, there are 5 stages of grief that people go through. First is the anger, then is the denial, then is the bargaining, then you go through depression, and the final stage is acceptance. So be kind to yourself during all those stages if you are experiencing grief or sorrow at any moment of time. And my recommendation would be just seek out help from your immediate support network that you would have created for yourself, from your friends. And it's completely okay to to reach out and to ask for help if you are not in a position where you think that you are losing health or your health is compromised. Just feel free to reach out and ask for help. There are so many people who are willing to offer you help. I think it is just a matter in our own mind, our own belief system. We feel shy or we feel shame that no, how would I be perceived as? But at any point of time I have reached out to my community for help. I think people have generously shared their help with me. So that would be my advice to people: speak up, unmute yourself.
On that note, I will unmute myself and thank you for the wonderful, talk that you gave us and bringing in the whole work-life integration aspect to it. I think what you said makes absolute sense, especially laying stress on mental health. And I think a huge part of guilt is also confusion. And what seeking mental health help does is give you some sort of theory or definition to the problems that you're facing, making it easier for you to navigate them. So thank you so much, Ruchi. Up next we have Disha, and as I've already introduced Disha, she is a yoga wizard. Please go check her Instagram out for some great yoga tips and to see her in some very very difficult yoga asanas. She's also a communication specialist and a care driven marketer. So Disha, the floor is yours, and please feel free to talk. Disha is going to tell us more about the holistic well-being aspect of it, and how to sort of prioritize your physical wellness as well. So, Disha, over to you.
Thank you, Shivranjani. That was a beautiful introduction. And I must say, these amazing, inspiring ladies and their, very interesting tips on self-care and self-love are very helpful. I hope you have a lot of takeaways from this session. And I want to really start with complimenting this active audience. I have not had such active audience in any of the live sessions that I've attended. So kudos to you guys. Keep up the momentum. So now that you guys are active, so I will start by asking this question to you: how many times, or how many of you, raise your hands, have actually felt guilty for maybe just signing up for a gym membership, or cooking an elaborate meal for yourself, or just finding out time to be alone in a room with nobody else present, or just finding out time for watching Netflix? How many of you, please start raising your hands, or just dropping an emoji or yes in the comment section, have actually felt guilty about taking out these small moments from your life? So I'm sure this happens to most of us. I know this happens to me all the time. So okay, so this active audience suddenly is not so active. I am not seeing any comments here. Yeah, okay. So, just on a day to day basis, just think about how much we think of being available for the people around us, being available to our family members, being available to our office mates. How many of us just think about being active all the time on Teams chat? We think that somebody has sent us a chat and we just need to immediately reply back to that. That urge to be always available comes from, and how beautifully Uzma said it, from the social conditioning that we have all had to be a nurturer. And this is a very woman specific thing. I wouldn't say that there are not anomalies, there are, but this is the case in most women, that we feel that we are the givers. We are socially conditioned to be givers. What nobody tells us is how Shiv Ranjani said it, that you can't pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. So, and honestly, what I think is, this is kind of common sense. Nobody should have to tell you that this is that you can't give what you don't have. It's common sense. So, and the reason I say that to myself, that nobody should have to tell me this, is that forgiveness is also a very important part of self care and self love. So first of all, I would like to start. This is my process and how I've learned. I would like to share that with all of you, because I believe sharing stories inspires other people, and if it has helped me, it might help other people also. So I see some activeness in the in the chat box. Thank you so much. So yeah, First of all, forgive the people around you who have conditioned you like this because they were conditioned like this. That's the first step. Now, this is my first consideration. Second consideration is that all of us have a threshold. If we keep taking more than we can chew, there will be a time when we fall apart. And when we break down, that is going to do much more damage than the few moments of unavailability during the day. So consider that you do not want to break down, or you do not want to fall apart. And this can be a mental falling apart or a physical breakdown. Whatever it is going to be far more damaging than those unavailable hours. So that's my second consideration. Now, the third one is my favorite, one of the most important also. When you start taking care of yourself, you set an example. You set an example for your friends. You set an example for your past generation also. So, okay, would you want your children to start sacrificing everything for their family members? Would you want your friends or your mother, let's say, for example, in most our cases, our mothers have been this, all giving personalities. Would you want your mother to keep doing that? You feel that you want your mother to take care of herself after all that she has done throughout her life for you, for all of us. So yeah, so think about that. And when you start taking care of yourself, you set an example for all those people, for the past generation, for the current generation, for your friends and family. If you have a partner, then for your partner. You start teaching that. You lead by example. And then you teach the same thing to your children also. Children learn from what they see. They see that you are taking out time for yourself. They understand the importance of self love and self care. And they'll start implementing that in their lives also. So these are the three most important considerations, most important arguments that I give myself to get over that guilt, to program my brain to enjoy self care. Because one of the most important things about self care is also that you should enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, it's just another task in your to do list. You should not feel burdened about finding enough sleep or eating well. You should enjoy it. So to enjoy it, just understand what is it that you're getting out of it, and why is it important, and why is it not selfish above all. So, and these are my three ways. If you have your ways to convince yourself to get out of this guilt, drop that in the comment section, because if you start sharing your stories, as I said, you'll start inspiring other people. Thank you, Sadia. As a mother, I think this is really important. Yeah, true. Exactly. I like the comments here. I think it's really important. Self love. You're right, Alga. Okay. So now let's talk about okay, so now you understand how important it is to take care of yourself. You understand how crucial it is. What most of us do not understand is that where do we start? Because it's easy to address the point that self care is important and self love is important and all of those things. It's important you know also where to start. We had some amazing tips from Uzma and Ruchi, so you definitely can start implementing those. Here are some of the things that I personally like to do in my life, and I have implemented those things. So the first thing is to understand what is self-care. So we had a beautiful definition from Uzma about self-care. Now, see, one of the most important considerations here is that we understand that self-care is not just physical. It's not a salon sesh. It's not a spa day. It's not eating right. It's not working out for an hour. It's all of that and much more. So it's also, as I said, it's also forgiveness. It's also uh, setting your boundaries and communicating them properly, like Ruchi said, unmuting yourself. So understand that this is a piece of nature. This needs nurturing, this needs nourishment, this needs rest, this needs grooming. This needs good energy around it to thrive, to create a conducive environment for it to thrive. And guess what? The best thing about being human is that we can create that environment. It is on us to create that environment. Nobody else in this entire world can create that for you except you. So start by first understanding what is self care, what is self love. Step outside the boundaries of what you know about it and think of the holistic perspective. It's about, yes, taking care of your physical body, yes, taking care of your mental health, yes, and then also your social health. How are you maintaining your relationships? And a lot of us confuse maintaining relationships with sacrifice. No, these are two different things. You do not have to sacrifice to maintain a good relationship. These are two completely different things. So it's social, it's spiritual. Think about your spirituality and nourish yourself, nourish your soul. That's self-care. Now, okay, getting to now that you understand what is self-care, it's where do we start? That was the original question. Where do we start? So according to me, it happens in three different phases. The first phase is understanding and actually identifying your needs. That's your first phase. And needs can be of two different types. One is the most basic need, like you need good sleep to be healthy, you need exercise, you need good food to be healthy, and all of those different things, the basic needs of a human. That's one type of need. The other type of need is what Ruchi beautifully addressed, is how you recharge yourself. Identify how you recharge yourself. So I would love to see in the comment section, how what is your favorite way to recharge yourself. So for example, I personally like to find good time for me to sleep, find good some good alone time in the room and just nobody apart from me in that room. And I like to practice my asanas and just sit there, have some time for myself. That's my way of recharging. What's your way of recharging? Identify those ways, because that's your basic need. If you do not recharge yourself, your charger cannot, your, let's say your power bank, if you do not recharge, you do not plug in your power bank, you do not charge it, it cannot charge your phone. So it's just like that. So recharge yourself so that you can give to the world. You are a giver, that's not a bad thing. It's actually something to be proud of that we are nurturers. um, but nurture yourself too. So that's the first thing. That's the first phase of identifying your needs and then adding that in your schedule. So, for example, if you like to get some time to sleep in the afternoon, put that in your calendar. If you are somebody who likes to put everything in a calendar, put that in your calendar. If you can put a meeting in your calendar, you can put this in your calendar too. So, start by identifying your needs and then putting that in your schedule. That's the phase, that's the first phase. The second phase is find out, identify what nourishes your soul. Now, needs is the most basic criteria of self care. Find out what nourishes your soul. So, for example, if I give examples from my ways to nourish my soul, I nourish my soul through a creative process. For example, I like to sew, or I like to write poetry, like Ruchi said, or I like to create content for my Instagram. That's a creative process. So I like to recharge through a creative process, taking myself out for a coffee and buying books. Yes, Sadia. And reading, very nice. Yeah. So reading is one of the very nice ways of nourishing your soul, because you are not just learning something, or if it's fiction, you're just transporting yourself to a different world. So these are the ways to nourish yourself, nourish your soul, and you can literally start by writing these things down. Start by writing that these are the things that I love doing. This is what nourishes my soul, and these are the things that I'll start doing. You might have a long list of things that you love to do, but start somewhere. You might love going to the mountains to nourish your soul, but maybe it's not possible for you if you have a very small child at your home. But at least find out other ways that are equivalent and start somewhere. So that's your second way. Shopping, yes, that's beautiful, Shweta. I love it too. Exercising, very important. Now, see, exercising, how beautiful is this? Exercising is also your basic need. And if it nourishes your soul, nothing like it. I mean, you are nourishing your soul while also giving your physical body some of the most basic needs of your bodies. So yeah, that's amazing. Swimming and cooking, yes, cooking again is a beautiful way of nourishing your soul. Again, something that is also a basic need, and also um, something that nourishes your soul, and not just your soul. So cooking is so beautiful that it just does not just nourish yourself; it nourishes others also. You put all your care and love in that cooking. So for example, like I love to chant my mantras when I'm cooking. It just transfers all of that positive energy in the food that I'm preparing. So these are some of the very beautiful ways. Walk in the nature, yeah, beautiful ways to nourish your soul and nourish others around you also. That brings me to the third phase, and this is my favorite phase: spread the goodness. So if you have found a way to love yourself, to care for yourself, I think it's your duty in a very nice way to spread it. Because once we start sharing, see, I'm here, I'm sharing with all of you, and I'm also learning while I'm sharing. See, all the beautiful comments like fun time with kids without study, yes. So I'm learning a lot of things from you guys as to what nourishes you, and maybe that might give a cue to me, and that I relate to, and maybe I start doing it from tomorrow. So when you start sharing, when you start sharing your story, it inspires a lot of people, and that is the beauty of self-care. If, let's say, if all of us were just busy uplifting ourselves, I don't think we would have enough information to actually uplift ourselves. Only when people like you, like Uzma, like Ruchi, like Shiranjani come together and share their stories is when we learn. So, the third and the most important phase of self care is that enjoy sharing it with others. Spread that goodness, spread that good energy everywhere. So, when we start spreading that energy, so you might have listened to it a lot of times, you might have read it in a lot of places that whatever you give to the universe comes back to you. So give back these good energies, give back your stories are so powerful. It's a lot more powerful than all the books that we have, because this is learning from our experiences. So yes, share the goodness.
Thank you so much, Disha. If you don't mind, I am itching to ask you a question right now. And since we all know you're a yoga wizard, this is just something I'd like to ask you personally, because yoga is often seen as the sort of poster activity for self-care, and everyone imagines someone doing a fancy asana at a wellness retreat when they think of self-care. But is self-care always that easy? Is it supposed to feel that easy? Or are there any myths that you want to bust about self-care? Does it also require some sort of discipline, focus, and effort?
I love this question, Ranjani, because one of the most important things that people don't address about self care is discipline. Yes, it can be very easy. Just caring for yourself can be easy if you have found a way, like I said, to enjoy self care. It's easy, but if you haven't found it yet, it might be very challenging. That is one of the reasons I said, I started my conversation with the three ways to convince yourself that it's important, so that you enjoy the process. So, for example, I enjoy setting an example for people around me. I enjoy communicating it to people how important it is. And that is why I find it easy, because I won't be able to share all of this information if I don't implement it on myself. So it is extremely important that, number one, you find a way to enjoy it so that it becomes easy. If you directly try to tell yourself that you have to be disciplined to do it, you won't be able to do it. We have been taught discipline from our school days. Were we able to get it? We won't, we were not. Discipline comes only when you're enjoying the process. Otherwise, nobody can implement discipline on you. So, yes, first thing, it is easy, but you have to make it so. And you can get disciplined if you enjoy it. So, yes. And about busting a few myths, I think um, Uzma did a very nice job about busting a few myths about self care. That most people think about self care as something very physical. It's not physical. It's holistic. And when we say holistic, most people think of holistic as just body, mind, and soul. It's beyond that. It's social. It's spiritual. It's even for the planet also. So that's a different topic for some other day. But yes.
Thank you so much for that insight, Disha. That was a beautifully curated answer. If just one last thing, if you have any particular message for all the women watching this, would you like to share that?
Yes, I would love to. Um, okay, so I've said this before, but I would like to re emphasize on this one. You are a nurturer, you are a piece of nature. So you should be your first project. You cannot nourish anyone else, you cannot nurture any life, any other life, if you do not do that for yourself. So be a nurturer to yourself first, so that you can nurture others and the planet. In yoga, we are being taught that you are Shakti, you are Maya, the divine feminine. If you are really that, learn to care for yourself so that you become that nurturer for the entire universe.
Right. Thank you so much, Disha. And with that, we come to an end to Disha's piece, but we have a little bit time for a lot of questions that have come from the audience. As Disha mentioned, we've had an extremely active audience. So I'll pose these questions to all of you, and whoever wants to take up can choose to take it up. And please feel free to add on to each other's answers. But the first one is, I can't stop my mind from wandering while meditating. How can I do things with respect to mindfulness? So, what are some mindfulness practices that can help this? So, maybe we could start with Uzma first.
Yeah. So here I want to first tell Rashim one thing that we all think that meditation is all about, being very focused with a blank mind and we need to be calm. And sometimes when we are not in that state and we are like a starter in the, meditating world, we feel very disappointed that we could not do that. So we need to understand meditation is observing your thoughts. It's a process where you the chaos which is there, you start with the step of observing it. And when you keep doing that, then a lot of revelation happens, and then the transformation happens. So it's very much okay if your mind is wandering. You don't have to force it. Let it go where it is going. It will There will come a point where those thoughts which are coming will finish, and then you will reach a point, then you can again concentrate back on the any kind of yoga, the guided meditation or the observation, whatever you're doing. So first of all, having this pressure that no, I have to concentrate when I am meditating should not be there, because it happens with everybody and it's okay. It's a journey, and eventually you will reach that. I do a lot of meditation, still I come across this thing when somewhere in between some days my mind would wander. So I would not put that pressure on myself that why did this happen to me. No, it's okay. I come back then and then I start meditating. So that was my input on this question.
Yeah, and one of the most important things about meditation is that you understand that you dissociate yourself from your thoughts. When you're meditating, it's extremely important that you realize that your thoughts are not you. These are just thoughts that you have. You are not these thoughts. So dissociate yourself from these thoughts and observe them. You don't have to stop your thoughts from coming, because your brain is a physical organ. It will keep functioning, it won't stop functioning, and you don't want your brain to stop functioning, it will keep functioning. So let it function, just observe these thoughts from a distance. That has helped me a lot.
Thank you so much, Uzma. Thank you so much, Disha. The next question we have, which I'd like to pose to Ruchi actually, because she talked about work life integration. As a working mother of two, I hardly find time for myself. What can I do in such limited time to ensure my sanity?
Mother, now retired. My dad is 82. He was bedridden for 2 months almost, and my mom also has her own health issues, so they are like my two kids in the family who I have to take care of. And I think that yes, there are times when I also lose my sanity. It's about, and I'll answer that first question also, right? So I have attended Vipassana, and for 14 days, for 2 weeks, I was, you have to practice silence. And I have a very different take on meditation and how do I retain my sanity in very, demanding or pressing situations, or situation of crisis, because there are pressing demands from both mom and dad at home, and then colleagues at work also. So for me now, meditation, instead of becoming an event where, because we literally associate it with the, poster of Shiva meditating in Himalayas, right? Doing some, I mean, going through an event with no thoughts, nothingness in your mind. But for me, meditation has become a way of life, right? I'll give a very simple example. Uh, when we are eating ice cream, that's a beautiful example of meditating, right? So because you're totally absorbed in that moment, you're not thinking about tomorrow, you're not ruminating about past, you're just totally absorbed in the moment, enjoying that ice cream, right? So meditation has to become so embedded, and you have to internalize meditation so much in your life that no matter what the situation is, no matter how much, you know the world may be on fire, but you have achieved that state of equanimity. And it really takes a lot of practice and a lot of, discipline to do that. But yes, once you have the intent and the desire, over a period of time, you are able to reach that state. So that's my way and take on meditation and how to maintain sanity.
Right. Thank you so much, Ruchi. And I think we've saved the most interesting question for the end, which brings us back to the topic of guilt, and the sort of aspect that we're mainly trying to uncover with this discussion. Where Jyoti says, "I have everything one might need, but at times I feel unhappy, and this then leads to feeling guilty." So how do I break this cycle?
Shivanji, can I say something for both?
Yes, of course.
Actually, for the mother part also, and for this question specifically, when I read, I was like, I need to answer this question, right? You know, uh, some like last year, I was interviewing this HR. She's well renowned all over India, Miss Gauri, and she put across a very beautiful point that the sacrificing part that we always think of now as mothers. She said, I realized that when we have to juggle, between being in profession and taking care, or even if doing certain things which are for our self love and we feel guilty, it's okay to ask for help. We there's so much talk around. You'll see your relatives talking. Oh, that lady, she has taken a maid, a nanny for her kids. She's not a good mother. Because of that thought, because of that belief system that we have, we as mothers are not taking help, and we reach that limit, that threshold, that she talked about, and we give up and we lose our sanity. But we need to accept this fact and normalize it, that it's okay if mothers or ladies who are working, we should go and say to our life partners, to our families, look, I need help, I need a maid, or I need a cook, or I need somebody as a babysitter. This is what I require. So you should not feel guilty. And once you do that, I'm sure you'll be able to take out time and have that self love routine for yourself. And coming to Jyoti, first of all, I feel this feeling of unhappiness or guilt that you're having in you, you have to realize and ask yourself, introspect, that where is it stemming from. You have to ask why and keep asking, okay, if this is there, why this, then why this, and reach the reason. What is the real reason why this unhappiness comes up or crops up? What is that need of yours, emotionally, physically, mentally that is not have been fulfilled, and which is making you these, emotions are leaking. First thing is that, and second thing, accept, do not criticize yourself that you are feeling unhappy because you have everything. A lot of people do that. I mean, some weeks back, I was also in that phase where I had a meltdown, and I had people, saying that we love to be where you are in your life. And I felt that why am I being so ungrateful? So it happens. Do not criticize yourself. That's also a phase. And third, yes, I think here, I think for me, I've been doing it regularly for a year now. Is my daily routine includes gratitude writing. I do it. That entirely shifts my energy for the day. And even some days I do not have anything in my brain, I feel what should I write, so I write I'm grateful for just breathing and existing. If that is what it is, I'll write that also when there are some shitty days when I don't feel thankful. So start being grateful about the things you have so that you don't feel guilty. And you really need to maybe take help of someone, a coach, a professional, or anybody, where you can just see, is there some kind of back trauma or some incident or something that is stemming this unhappiness in you. Get to the root cause and get it solved. I think that will help you. Thank you.
Jyoti, if you're still online, I have a question for you, and I might be assuming from your question. Um, what do you think you need to be happy? If you're still active, you can drop your answer in the comments. I love what Uzma said about the gratitude practice that really, really helps people get over a lot of mental health issues. Okay, I'm still waiting for Jyoti's answer, but even if it does not come, that's okay. Um, in fact, anybody can drop a comment with your answer about what do you think you need for happiness, peace of mind. Okay. One of the myths that, as Shivranjani said, I would like to bust here is that for happiness, you do not need anything at all. You need things to be unhappy about, but you do not need things to be happy about because you are the source of happiness. You are the source of all joy. So that comes from within. Nobody can give you that happiness. So your question that you have everything that you need and you're still unhappy might be, and I might be assuming here, because you are identifying that happiness is linked to things. It's not. Even if you have everything in the entire world, you can be unhappy. Even if you have nothing at all, like a saint has nothing. Like, for example, just take an example of, sadhu. We have so many examples in our country from the ancient times. Happiness does not need anything, not even clothes, not even shelter, not even good weather, for example. It just stems from within. So try to dissociate happiness from things and be the source of joy for yourself first. Because once you be that source of joy for yourself, you become a source of joy for everyone. And you start radiating that good energy, that happiness, the vibe of happiness. I hope that helps. I might be assuming from your question, but
Thank you so much, Disha. I think that's a beautiful note to end on. And I think a characteristic of any good conversation is that we lose track of time. And we have extended our time a little bit, but this has been a really insightful conversation. And thank you so much, for to the attendees for engaging so well with the speakers, for the speakers, for sharing their knowledge and expertise. And once again, if you wish to be a part of more of these conversations, do click on the link that's been put up in the chat box. You will be redirected to our platform where you can sign up and join our community. This is not the only event we shall be hosting for this community. We have a lot more coming up. So looking forward to more of such interactions, and have a really nice weekend. Thank you so much once again.